Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 6. It feels like ages since I've done a video specifically on The Flash because it's just been crisis. It's been a crisis of crisis. Yeah. But speaking of crisis, we are in the midst of a crisis in a couple of areas. Firstly on TV, as a crossover event for this season is now in its mid-season break or just after... Well, crazy stuff happened, and we won't, get the fallout to that until mid-January, January 14th to be exact. So that's a crazy wait. And also we are in crisis just right now, like mentally in real life, as we have a massive break until we return to normal scheduling for all the Arrowverse shows, because we have crisis, then I think the week after that, there's different scheduling. I'm not 100% sure when even The Flash comes back, just because there's so much weird stuff going on in regards to shows changing dates, shows coming in and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see what happens in regards to when The Flash actually comes back. But in this video, we are going to be going over information that was released, fairly recently in regards to the early parts of the back half of this season of The Flash, which includes some episode titles, returning characters, and new characters, and we'll also go over some stuff regarding Crisis, in particular the Flash side of Crisis, because, well, some big stuff in regards to the Flash side of the universe happened in the last episode because it was a Flash episode. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know all of your various opinions on what we go over, especially one topic's probably going to get most of the attention in the comments. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say on all of that, and of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you're excited from what we go over in this video, why not drop a like on it to show your support and hype. But as we left off on The Flash, just before Crisis on Infinite Earth started and rolled around, when the multiverse was still intact, we had Bloodwork, or Ramsey Rosso, defeated and taken away to Argus. But of course, in the lead up to the ending of, the first half of the season, we had Blackhole introduced, which is the big organization. Now, they weren't mentioned by name or anything. We just know that it's Blackhole because of the logo, but I'm sure they will drop that name eventually. But of course, they are the organization that took Esperanza, aka Ultraviolet, and it, it's up to some shady stuff, some slim shady stuff around metahumans and various things like that. So it does seem that will be the focus, at least early on, in regards to an antagonist, or at least some sort of weird stuff going on. Iris will be focused around that storyline. It's going to be like a big conspiracy thing, so it'll be interesting to see how they tackle that, because you can tackle it a different couple of ways, whether it's non-actiony or it can be very actiony. Just depends which way they want to go about it. But I would be surprised if they are actually the big bad. Like, that would be a bit of a letdown, to be completely honest. But if you were going to make a bet, I would say that Black Hole will be like the entry point, or possibly even the cause of who or what the big bad for this season eventually is. Well, hopefully that's the case. As I said, if they're actually the big bad and they're who we're dealing with at the end of the season, it'd be a bit weak, to be completely honest. But firstly, we got the episode titles for the next 4 episodes of The Flash that follow Crisis on Infinite Earths. When we pick back up with the show. Sorry, that's episode 10, 11, 12, and 13. But here are those episode titles. So episode 10 is otherwise entitled Marathon. Episode 11 is otherwise entitled Love is a Battlefield. Episode 12 is otherwise entitled A Girl Named Sue. And episode 13 is entitled Grodd Friended Me. Now, you could theorize all you want to from those first 2 episode titles of Marathon and Love is a Battlefield. Obviously, Love is a Battlefield is a Pat Benatar song, and Marathon, you could just say, well, the Flash, he runs, you run a marathon, and that's the reason for that episode title. Theorize all you want around those. But it is the last 2 of those 4 episode titles that are the most interesting ones, based off their titles at least, obviously. So, A Girl Named Sue will be the 12th episode in which we are properly introduced to the character of Sue Dearborn. Obviously, we were given the setup to see Sue Dearborn, coming into the show at the end of last season when Ralph Dibny got that file on his desk, and since then he has been sort of globetrotting, I guess you could say, in an attempt to find Sue and close that case, if you want to call it. Obviously, episode 6, it was sort of focused on a lot, that was a part of the mission, or that was a part of his case. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Sue will be a decent sized character in the back half, and it will be interesting to see how she plays into the season, as they have teased there being a bit of a mystery behind her, which ties into the case that Ralph was given. And yeah, she's meant to be part of a rich family and something like that. That was in her character description. She has been cast. Natalie Dreyfus is playing the character, and but they've been filming episode 13 and she wasn't there. Like, I follow, if you don't follow her on Instagram, it's suggested, and she was like in some random place. She wasn't in Vancouver. So it seems that she's introduced in episode 12, but episode 13 she's not there, or at least she's not there for most of the episode. Now, Aminette Black is also meant to return this season, and it is in either episode 11 or 12, one of the two, but she will be involved with Iris's story for that episode at least. That was pretty much confirmed on Instagram. And of course, episode 13 of season 6 of The Flash is otherwise entitled God Friended Me. And I mean, the reason for that being titled that is pretty obvious. And that's because, well, Grod's going to be there. However, the episode title does also hint at the fact, or not at the fact, but it does hint at the return of Jesse Quick, as God Friended Me is a play on the show that the actress who plays Jessie, that being Violet Bean, is currently on. Now, Violet hasn't been active on social media since around the time they roughly would have been filming that episode, as they are just about to move on to episode 14 for this season, which we will go over in a second. But I guess we will have to wait and find out if they confirm her return. Obviously, Earth 2 was destroyed early on in this season of the Arrowverse in Arrow's first episode. But now the entire multiverse is gone. So we might get a new version of Jessie established. Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and find out in regards to all of that. I would be surprised if we got any confirmation about her coming back to the show, if it's going to happen before Crisis ends. If it is true, as I think they're going to be very scarce with information about that. About like anything post-Crisis until Crisis actually airs. But I mentioned the social media thing and her being quiet there is because whenever people come back to film the Arrowverse stuff, they're I think they're told to basically, yo, don't use social media here because people will realize you're back here and we want it to be a surprise. So she was pretty active on social media and then just stopped around the time they would have been filming this episode. So make of that what you will. But speaking of Jesse Quick, it's time to talk about her ex-partner, that of course being Wally West aka Kid Flash, and well, we have a confirmed episode for when he is returning. So back at Comic-Con this year, Eric Wallace, the new showrunner for The Flash, said that Wally would be returning in a multi-episode arc in which Wally and The Flash would take on one of The Flash's greatest villains. Now, when that Grodd episode was revealed, many, including myself, thought that Wally returning in this episode would be the case, and there is still a chance that is the case, as episodes 13 and 14 in early seasons were treated as like two-parters. I think it was up to like season 3 that we had them, so maybe Grodd and maybe some other characters are a part of another two-parter, that being episode 13 and 14. Who knows, but Kenan Lonsdale, who plays Wally, was already seen in Vancouver where they filmed the shows a couple of days ago, but today we got the confirmation on the episode, or actually yesterday for when you watch this video, we got the episode confirmation in regards to when he returns, that episode being number 14. But Eric Wallace spoke about Wally's return this season, and here is what he said. After working on his inner life in Tibet, Wally West, aka Kid Flash, is back to help Team Flash against a familiar threat, but one with a very new face. As always, it's a real treat having our Flash family member Kenan Lonsdale back to play the youthful speedster, but what's different this time is that Wally has grown, along with his speedster abilities too. This won't be your same old Kid Flash making a reappearance, it is a fresher, more exciting direction for character as Wally, just like the rest of Team Flash deals with a post-Crisis world. So firstly, new abilities. If Crisis does change a lot of things, including like backstory and stuff, we could have a different Wally completely in regards to abilities, but also a different suit. Don't quote me on this, but I've heard there's very exciting things happening with this episode, both 13 as well as the Wally episode, in regards to like people that are fans of, I guess, the comics, but also just the show in general and the different things they do. Now, I'm not saying expect a new suit for Wally. I'm definitely not saying that. However, if 14 and maybe 15 and stuff is the episode that Wally comes back, he was in Vancouver for a couple of days before episode 14, so he might have done some fittings to fix up a suit a bit more. I don't know. I'm not saying that he's definitely getting a new suit, but maybe keep that in mind. Maybe. But in regards to the villain, if it isn't Grodd that plays into episode 14 and it isn't a two-parter with, 13 being the first part, who is this, villain with a familiar face? Is it Eobard Thawne? That's been a top one, but with a new face, so that means it's not going to be Tom Cavanagh, it's not going to be Matt Letcher. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be some random dude? Is it Jesse Quick, the new Reverse Flash, or something like... Actually, that technically makes sense. Anyway, let's not even dive into that theory. I don't think it'll be Thawne. I saw people saying that. I don't think it's Thawne. Mirror Master, that's an important thing to bring up, because Mirror Master, Eva McCulloch, not Evan McCulloch, but Eva McCulloch, a female Mirror Master, will be in the back half of this season. Is it her? I don't know. Did Wally take on Mirror Master? He was there in season 3. I can't remember if he took him on or not. Anyway, I don't know if it's that. I guess the big one that a lot of people have been bringing up is Godspeed, because we had that Godspeed stuff in episode 1 and it hasn't really come back into play, but you have to have a feeling that they set that up and they said there's multiple versions of Godspeed for a reason. Does he play into it? Because did they recast Godspeed from the random actor that played him, not the random actor, that seems a bit insulting, but like the actor that played him in the Nora episode last season? Is it a recast from that? Let me know who you think it could be in the comments, because I'm interested. And lastly, in Crisis, we saw the death of the Flash take place. However, it was a bait and switch, where it wasn't our Barry Allen that bit the dust. It was actually the Earth 90 version that sacrificed himself to destroy the antimatter cannon. Now, there were some differing opinions on this. I personally thought it was very predictable, but the scene still worked and was pretty emotional. But here is what Eric Wallace had to say on the decision. You have got to come up with a way to honor what was said with the monitor in the Flash 601, saying the Flash must die, but also give it a nice story twist, getting some emotion. We thought about it for quite a while, and we got to what I hope the audience thinks is a satisfying conclusion, which is a little bit of the best of both worlds. Grant almost doing it, wanting to, being the hero we always thought he was going to be, and at the very last second, in comes John Wesley's ship, and it completes a 30-year arc. Hopefully, we honor the original Flash from the 90s show. You have these two great performers, two generations, where you had Grant Gustin, who loves John, and John loving Grant, and to see them working together. That was real emotion you saw in that scene, as they kind of realized Grant's like, he's passing a real torch to me. This really is the end of him. And then John, he told us, I think afterwards, thank you for giving me this opportunity to close a chapter. And I think that's a good explanation. I know people will be disappointed, but did anyone really expect our Barry Allen Earth 1 to die and be gone forever? No. Maybe they could have chucked in a twist and he died and then came back post-crisis and stuff, but then the death sort of feels, stupid. Like it didn't mean anything. But this Earth 90 Flash is gone now, and he actually made a sacrifice to save our Barry's life. So I think it works in that way. Very predictable, but I still think it worked. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all to go over in this video. If you enjoyed it, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.